American Top 40.
AT40 originates in Hollywood. Well, now we're about to find out how parents behave when their sons, still living at home, hit number one on the record charts. We're up to the number one song by Wham, which followed their first number one song, Wake Me Up Before You Go-Go. Wham, of course, are the English duo of George Michael and Andrew Ridgeley. George is 21 and Andrew just turned 22, and each lives at home with his parents in the North London suburb of Watford. Now here's what they told us about their parents' reactions to their success. Andrew Ridgeley's father is friendly to Wham fans who turn up at the house. He often gives them souvenirs like pairs of his son's socks. That's the dad's. Andrew Ridgeley also talks about George's mother. He says, "I can tell how happy our success makes George's mom, because the first time we hit number one in England, she let me come into the kitchen. And now she lets me come into the living room." Now, Andrew's mother may be the proudest parent of all. George says she drags Andrew down to the supermarket and hugs him in front of everybody and says, "This is my son." End of quote. This week, the pride of the Michael and Ridgeley families have the number one album in the USA, the album Make It Big. And the second hit single from that album has made it as big as the first. For the third week in a row, the most popular song in the land is by Wham. It's Careless Whisper.
American Top 40.
Now, let's find out what's happening with the other half of Wham. We all know what's happening with George Michael. He's become a top solo star, but he started out as a member of the duo Wham, the duo he'd formed in 1981 in England with his childhood friend Andrew Ridgeley. George sang, and lean, smiling Andrew played electric guitar. Between 1984 and 1986, they racked up 6 consecutive top 10 hits, including 3 number ones: Wake Me Up Before You Go-Go, Careless Whisper, and Everything She Wants. And then, in February of last year, George Michael surprised the world by announcing that he was breaking up his partnership in Wham and was going solo. Andrew Ridgeley told us that they actually planned to announce it officially later in June. But George made the announcement prematurely when he discovered that their new management company had ties to the South African government, and George is strongly against apartheid. So, since he was breaking off from the management, he went ahead and made the announcement that Wham was finished. Andrew Ridgeley says, "When we formed the band, it was fueled by the enthusiasm of our youth and by some simple ideals. And by 1985, we had achieved almost everything the original concept embodied. So it came to a natural end." That was Andrew Ridgeley talking. Andrew says he has absolutely no regrets at all about the experience, and he was quick to acknowledge that George had done most of the songwriting, playing, and singing for Wham. After the breakup, Andrew took up auto racing in France. But now, he says he's returning to a career in music. He's written and recorded 2 songs, and he says he hopes to have a single out in England by February. Andrew lives in Monaco these days, but he and George, he says, are still the best of friends. And that's an update on 24-year-old Andrew Ridgeley, formerly of Wham.
Now, this summer, George Michael is on the American leg of his 25 Live tour, which made us wonder, whatever became of his partner in Wham, Andrew Ridgeley? During their 3-year chart career, the duo of George Michael and Andrew Ridgeley scored with 6 top 10 hits in a row. Wham broke up in 1986, and while George went on to even greater stardom, Andrew has followed a very different path. First, he moved to Monaco to become a race car driver. Then he moved to Los Angeles to become an actor. He also tried a solo singing career, and eventually he moved back to England to try his luck as a surfer. Andrew co-owns a British company that makes surfing equipment, and he's also the founder of a group called Surfers Against Sewage, an environmental organization that works to clean up the waters where Brits like to surf. And one more life note for Andrew Ridgeley. These days he's married to Karen Woodward of Bananarama. Now, here's Wham with their number one pop hit from 1984, Wake Me Up Before You Go-Go. From 1984, Wham with an AT20 Extra, Wake Me Up Before You Go-Go. I'm Kasem. Now, on with the survey.
Casey's Coast to Coast.